Everyone wants to know more. From simple things in life such as how to cook an omelet, how to do long division, or maybe change the oil on your truck, these things can ultimately be learned through a simple YouTube video or word of mouth. But deep down, everyone wants to know something they might not ever know the answer to. Do aliens exist? Who killed Kennedy? Why did she leave me? Are heaven and hell real? Questions like this could drive you crazy, just from trying to find the answers alone. But what would happen if you got those answers? Do you want to know the things that are supposed to be unknown, hidden, tucked away? Or is it better to keep living your life unaware of the reality of the situation? How much are you willing to sacrifice for truth? Are you willing to be cursed with knowledge? Which brings us to today's show. A mystery like no other, a tale with no end. For those of you with an interest in the uncanny and unnatural, grab your reading glasses and say your prayers as we attempt to understand the storage papers. The Storage Papers is an audio drama which began in the summer of 2019. Created and voiced by Jeremy Enfinger, the show follows Jeremy after he purchases an abandoned storage unit in auction. Yes, just like that show Storage Wars where the guy goes, yeah. The unit contains a couple of items which Jeremy is able to sell for profit, but the majority of the storage unit is taken up by boxes and boxes of papers. Police reports, notes, letters, medical documents, you name it, all with one particular commonality. Strange things have been happening all over San Diego for decades, and I don't mean the Padres. After purchasing the unit, Jeremy starts to realize he's being followed, and strange things start to happen in his everyday life. Then one night, he hears a voice in his sleep say two words in Latin, lectito communico, or in English, read. Share. As Jeremy reads through the papers, he soon discovers the paranormal is quite normal. The storage unit and the papers inside were curated and owned by a man named Ron, a gentleman who becomes a focal point of the show and a man with secrets beyond comprehension. Ron is and was a paranormal investigator with deep connections to some occurrences found in the papers. The show begins as an anthology where every episode is a different story found amongst the papers, and small details given here and there adds a piece to the puzzle Jeremy is trying to put together. Each episode diving deeper and deeper into conspiracy and horror, which leaves Jeremy to question how true the storage papers really are. You see, the storage papers are not limited to one mystery or tale. In the world of the storage papers, every story you've heard around a campfire, every conspiracy online, every whistleblower who's gone missing, every fable you've ever read, every nightmare you've had, it's all true. Demons, aliens, spirits, monsters, time travel, sleep paralysis, mind All these mysteries are connected by one organization, Project Hydra, a cryptic organization focused on the development of paranormal entities and occurrences. Occult studies, extraterrestrial contact, robotics, a medical field, they have their hand in everything. I'm also not positive, but I think it's hinted at that Project Hydra stems from the Nazis, so take that as you wish. Despite Hydra acting as a machine which pumps out the unsettling, the show's real overarching villain is Malcolm Foy, or better known as the Grinner. Malcolm, who allows himself to be taken over by the Grinner, a demon for lack of a better term, threatens Jeremy and other characters from the show, which ultimately turns the show from an anthology to an episodic thriller. The show's 4 seasons act very differently from each other in terms of theme, style, and goal. Season 1, or the anthology season, finds Jeremy trying to convince the audience the storage papers are real and not just a scripted podcast produced through Anchor. The season follows an almost villain of the week style format with only a few connections to an overall story. Season 2, the realization season, still follows an anthology style, but come the midway point of the season, it turns more episodic as Jeremy and characters from the show come together to confront the Grinner. Throughout the entirety of the second season, Jeremy begins to discover how deep the perpetual rabbit hole goes. Season 3, the dream season, has Jeremy searching and reporting papers that are exclusively about dreams. It's in this season that the show starts to take a bit of a decline, the production value and content provided increases, but as I will come back to in a minute, the show begins to move away from its foundation. Season 4, the detective season, finds Jeremy almost completely ignoring the namesake of the show, the storage papers. While yes, Jeremy does reference and review some documents, the season has Jeremy doing some detective work as he looks deeper into what Malcolm Foy has been doing since Season 2's conclusion, and even investigating some of his companions. The problem the storage papers face is an issue many audio dramas and storytelling podcasts deal with. Around Season 3 of a show, or once you hit the rough 30 episode mark, shows feel the need, in order to keep the audience engaged, they either need to shake up the show into something different, or they need to play it so completely safe it becomes almost impossible to listen to. A good example of a show hitting this mark and prevailing is Midnight Burger, which uses the in-story elements of the show to create a progressive storyline that enhances the characters. A bad example of a show hitting the 3-season mark is The White Vault, which, when it gets to Season 3, just completely restarts the show, characters, and plot, but also is the exact same thing as the first 2 seasons, somehow. The storage papers fall somewhere between these two shows. The reason for the storage papers' intrigue was the anthology storytelling that varied from each episode. In Season 1 and 2, each episode is different and comes with different feels. Some episodes are scary, some calming, others just mysterious. And that's what made the first 2 seasons so great. However, Season 3, while still telling a different story found in the papers each episode, they're almost all the same. It's a story about someone dying in their dreams or seeing a man who wants to kill them. Yes, the stories are different, but you lose a lot of value every episode because you're essentially hearing the same story. Season 4 does make a comeback, however, it pretty much eliminates the actual storage papers, as Jeremy starts doing his own investigation and the show turns into a detective noir type story. Which is good because the season is a good detective noir style story with a great ending. But this is not the storage papers we once started off with, and that's kind of the lesson of the show. Jeremy realizes that he can't avoid the consequences of producing the storage papers. The more he puts into reading them, discovering the truth, publishing it to us, the audience, the more that is taken away from him. He begins to have problems with his family, begins to be physically ill, and after all that's happened, one can't help to question his mental state. The storage papers asks the question, is knowledge worth the curse which comes along with it? The more you know in life, the more responsibility is put on your shoulders to do with that information as you think is appropriate. If you know one of your coworkers is stealing, if you know someone is cheating on their spouse, if you know where someone is hiding from the law, you have to ask yourself what the knowledge you possess will do to someone else or even yourself. Is it better to know the truth and feel miserable, or to be told lies and feel happy? Many of us find it all too easy to bury our heads in the sand while the hard reality of the world around us moves on. Knowledge is a powerful tool, which is why so many people try to keep it from us. It's common for people to either be uninformed or misinformed because knowledge is a dangerous thing. We all saw Oppenheimer this summer, a man plagued with the realization of what the knowledge he possesses has done. But rather than becoming death, destroyer of worlds, what will you become with the knowledge you hold? My name is John, and thank you for watching or listening. Hello?